HBCUs find themselves shut out for another NFL draft in recent history. Zero, zilch, nada, none. That's how many HBCU players heard their name called over the weekend. Oh, yeah, it's Locked On HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics. Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darian Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald Sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today's Saints Wire. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Make it Locked On HBCU your first listen of the day, every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. Just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. And I admit it, I have a competitive side, and that competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go for free on the App Store or Google Play. We all over the place today. At the end of the show, we'll be wrapping up by looking at Shelomi Sanders because she is at Alabama A&M. And I think this continues the interesting relationship between the Sanders families and HBCUs. I'm very surprised by this move, but some things make a little bit more sense. Prior to that, Tomekia Reed has signed her contract, but it is not with Jackson State. So you can say goodbye to the queen of HBCU women's basketball. And we kick it off with the fact that there was absolutely no HBCU players drafted in the NFL draft over the weekend. Yes, we saw a bunch of UDFAs, aka undrafted free agents, but there were no HBCU players who had their name called during, I think, the 257 selections that were made over Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We peeling the curtains back today. I was very nervous to come in here and record this episode. I was very nervous. I'm very nervous right now, to be honest, and I probably won't be calm until it's over. I probably won't be calm until it's out and I record the next episode. I probably won't be calm until we just leave this topic. But today in particular, I was very nervous to record this episode because I knew people were coming in because they wanted to hear something. I don't think I'm here to give you what you want. I don't have a rant. I'm numb. I don't have many emotions. I'm not upset. I'm not sad. I'm not angry. Like I don't have the rant. All I have is an opinion on it, because the truth of the matter is HBCUs have been shut out of an NFL draft for the second time in recent memory. And as long as this keep happening, it's going to keep happening. The issues with HBCU draftees in the NFL draft is a constant and cyclical situation, because as long as this continues to happen, there's no way to really get it better or feel confident that it will improve. Do I believe that you can make it at an HBCU? Yes. Do I believe that that is a valuable recruiting pitch to people? I think it's starting to lose its value because it's becoming hard to walk into a living room and keep saying you can make it from an HBCU when they can look at the draft and say, can I? That's the legitimate problem. If I was recruiting or if I was being recruited, I would say that two of the biggest recruiting pitches that I can make or can be made to me are the ability to reach my dream, aka the NFL draft, or postseason success, aka the Celebration Bowl. Well, the team with the most Celebration Bowl victories, they're gone. They're in the CAA now. So we can take them out of this conversation right here because it doesn't matter to them and they don't really matter to the event anymore. If you want to look at coaches who have won, there's only one active HBCU head coach who has won a Celebration Bowl, and that's Trey Oliver. There's only one additional one that's even made the HBCU Celebration Bowl. So when I'm looking at success in the postseason, it's not many who can tell me that this current regime has done it. If you're talking about being able to reach my dream, it's not many draftees is happening. So how do we recruit the best talent with things that actually make sense other than, hey, join the fight? Hey, do what's right. Help us change the narrative. That don't sell for everybody. I'm here doing the media thing. I'm here speaking about it. So yes, I'm interested in changing the narrative, but I'm not putting that responsibility on anyone. I'm thankful for those who want to take it on, but I'm not here to tell anybody that that's what they should do. I think that's a heavy burden to put on a kid coming out of high school. I think that's a heavy burden to put on a kid who is transferring in from another college. The truth of the matter is they are there to win games and achieve their goal of making it to the NFL. And sometimes there's a kind of a tighter relationship or a connection to the university that they chose. But it's just getting very difficult to give you the same cliches. Hey, you can make it. They'll find you anywhere. I think Sundiata Anderson is a really good player. Will they find you anywhere? It makes you question these type of things. It makes you question what you walk in and say. Because to me, if I just walk into a room and say, hey, they say, hey, I don't know if I can make it to an HBCU. I don't know if I can make it through and from an HBCU. And I just say, oh, yeah, you can. What am I backing? What am I using to back them? The few choices? I don't know. It's very difficult, and I'm not ignorant. I think it was Sam Herder. I don't know. I wanted to do some research of my own, so I didn't retweet the tweet, so you won't find it on my Twitter. But he basically broke down the amount of draftees and undrafted free agents from FCS conferences. And both the MEAC and the SWAC found themselves tied for 5th, and they weren't that far behind being top 3. The truth is it comes from the MVFC, so that's the Mountain Valley Football Conference, and then the CAA. That's where the most draftees come from. And it really wasn't close between those two, to be honest. It's the Mountain Valley Football Conference. So like I understand that this is a larger issue, but how many times must I tell you this is not Locked On FCS? Go check out my guy Blue Bloods for that. Blue Bloods does a phenomenal job covering all FCS content. So please, if you want to hear about the larger scale for this particular issue, go check him out. I'm sure he has something for it. But this is Locked On HBCU. But that's why you're here. I just find it struggling. And you know what? The reason, I shouldn't even say I'm not numb. I'm just not surprised. And it's not because they continue to do this. I didn't love the class. I think that may be one of the reasons that I'm not up in arms. It's one of the reasons I'm not really upset. I speak with a lot of conviction. I speak with a lot of passion in my everyday life. But don't let the delivery confuse you. I'm not upset about it. A little bit bothered, but not upset about it. When I had Coach G on the show, right, and I posted Gerald's clip on Twitter, which, I mean, I guess it doesn't really make sense for you to go run up now, but it was a good clip. It was a really well done quote by Gerald Huggins in highlighting who Mikey Victor is. And I think that Mikey Victor is an exceptionally talented young player. But in that quote, he said that Mikey Victor being selected or not being selected would be worse than Marquise Bell. I was way more tapped in with Bell than I was with Victor. And I think that may be one of the things. Like, I had certain feelings about these other players. I didn't have it for this class. Like, I just didn't have that same confidence level, right? Like when Marquise Bell didn't get invited to the scouting combine, it felt crazy to me. Or no, excuse me, to the Senior Bowl. It felt crazy to me. Like, these were just little moments. It was like, how did this happen? It just was way more momentum behind Marquise Bell. I had a lot of belief in Victor, but I'm talking about the momentum from the chatter. I heard a lot more when it came to Marquise Bell. I don't know who I'm out here. Like, I like Sundiata Anderson, but I just keep poking holes, right? Like, I just keep poking holes in each individual person. And when I can poke these holes, I feel like HBCUs are held to a standard of perfection almost. Everything has to line up, because that is not the motive. Doug Williams had a perfect quote. He said, nobody's standing on the tables, right? Because you need people to stand on the tables for these kind of players, and no one's doing it. That's just a realistic view of the situation. I look at the Legacy Bowl. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The Legacy Bowl is a phenomenal event, but it's way too late in the process. I've been trying to rack my brain on how to say something that hasn't already been said. I love the Legacy Bowl, and I think it's led to some people becoming undrafted free agents. But I don't think that it's early enough in the process for it to lead to draftees, because by the time February, before the draft rolled around, people have done in-depth studies. And if they're trying to play catch-up with you, it's going to be extremely difficult. I don't think there's been a single player who has come from the HBCU Legacy Bowl who has been drafted. And that's not an indictment on the Legacy Bowl. It's an indictment on how people are using the Legacy Bowl. This is not supposed to be the thing that puts you on the map. That's a problem. It should be the cherry on top. It should not be the thing that puts you on the map. These schools have to do a better job of getting eyes on the people that they want to get eyes on, right? Like I think I seen somebody talking about the film, and I know it can be difficult to get film out. I know this personally from people who have told me how difficult it is to get film from some HBCUs. We got to do better. We got to do better. We need attention on our players around junior year. I treat it like high school, man. You can't be going into your senior year with no offers. You're probably not going to get a great offer. You're probably not. And that's how these players are getting, except it's not even going into senior year. It's getting it right before National Signing Day. This is a problem on all levels. And I'm tired of pointing the finger at them and saying what they should do. I'm pointing the finger at us and what we should do. We love it when alarms hit in the middle of recording, but that little spot right there was I was going too hard for me to stop it. But it's okay, because now we're transitioning over to Tomekia Reed, because Tomekia Reed has left Jackson State. Geez, this is kind of a somber episode, but I'm not somber at all. I'm good. We're going to keep it smiles on my face. Ding. But no, I appreciate y'all, for real. Let's keep rocking. Let's keep rolling. Let's look at Tomekia Reed leaving Jackson State, because I do not believe that this is a lateral move, even though she left for a fellow mid-major. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go is the perfect scratch to scratch my competitive itch, right? Did I say that right? I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? And Monopoly Go is a mobile twist on the classic Monopoly. Everybody's played Monopoly coming down the boardwalk, right? We've all been like, I'm gonna buy this property. I'm gonna buy this property. I'm gonna buy this property. I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty bad at it. So when I play Monopoly, my brother always takes all of my money. That's okay in Monopoly Go, because even if he takes all my money and he puts it in his vault, I'm taking my money back. Yeah, that's right. It's my money and I need it now. But no, I really do enjoy this. The best part is being able to play with friends, whether we're just laughing, whether we're trying to collaborate on how we're going to go take somebody else's money from their vault, or maybe we're just competing against each other to see who comes up victorious. There's so many different avenues that you could take to have a good time when it comes to Monopoly Go. I genuinely love this. And not only is my competitive side scratched, or my competitive itch scratched, so is my kumbaya, I love you family itch. So I appreciate going on this all the time. If you want to have that same feeling, then go to Monopoly Go on the App Store or Google Play and download today for free. I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day, every day for your second listen. Check out Locked On Sports Today. It's the first of its kind 24/7 live sports show on YouTube. You want to find out why we call it the Lost 24/7 stream? No, it's not just an acronym. It's because if you put it on, you'll get lost in a trance watching the stream. Now, as we continue rolling, Tomekia Reed. Tomekia Reed has signed her contract, but it is not with Jackson State. The queen of HBCU women's basketball has now left Jackson State for the Queen City. She is the new head coach of the Charlotte 49ers. And I have heard this been called a lateral move. I do not agree with that. What she did by leaving Jackson State was she left for a higher NCAA tournament ceiling. I don't know if that's her reason for doing it, but she definitely receives it with this move. Right? Because Jackson State, we've seen them dominate the SWAC, and they get rewarded with a 14 seed. And we know anything less than domination likely results in a 16 seed. Well, if you look over the last 5 years of Conference USA women's basketball, which is where she'll be now, it's a completely different story. Last year, 2024, Middle Tennessee State, 11 seed, 16-0. Year prior, Middle Tennessee State, 11 seed, 18-2. 2022, Charlotte gets the 14 seed with a 15-3 record. 2021, Middle Tennessee State again, 14 seed, this time with 12-4. 2019, Rice, 12 seed with a 16-0 record. I'm only speaking about the conference record when it comes to them. So over the last 5 seasons, over the last 5 tournaments, Conference USA has a floor of 14, and they were able to do that with 3 losses. They were able to do that with 4 losses. Jackson State couldn't sniff a 14 seed with 3 conference losses, 4 conference losses. Middle Tennessee State got an 11 seed with 2 conference losses. You understand that the route that Jackson State had to go, was full dominance just to get a 14 seed. Well, it seems like by winning the conference, dominating or not, your floor is a 14 seed. So I don't know if that's what made Tomekia Reed say, I'm going to go off for Charlotte. But I could tell you what, it's a really good reason. If that was it, am I to complain about that? I don't think that's illogical. I don't. There's a couple of reasons that people want to play this game, want to coach this game. You know, sometimes it's for the love. So maybe money was involved. I don't know what Charlotte's paying her. I heard that Jackson State was offering $250,000 a year over 4 years. So it all totaled up into $1 million for the entire contract. And I think that was the base salary. So I'm not going to involve the money into it and how I factor it. I'm only looking at one clear advantage that Charlotte has over Jackson State. And I know they're both mid-majors. Some people might feel like it's a lateral move. I do not, because by going to Charlotte, she probably will have a better, and it's not even probably, it's very likely, she will have a better, she will have a higher ceiling. I'm not going to say better. She will have a higher ceiling in the NCAA tournament as far as initial seeds go. What you do once you get that seed is another story. But as initial seeds go, she will have a much higher ceiling. And Tomekia Reed's out of Jackson State. I'll say this. As time went on, I kind of felt like this was going to be the move. Have we heard anything connecting her since the first week of April? I remember when Tomekia Reed said that she was still recruiting. I remember that. I can't think of any. I think I may see one recruit go to Jackson State since then. But overall, it was quiet. It wasn't Bowler leaving for the transfer portal that did it for me. It was the silence. And if it's anything I've noticed from Jackson State fans, they're not very silent. So unless my timeline just changed up, I didn't really hear them speaking about Tomekia Reed. And when I don't hear Jackson State speaking about Tomekia Reed, I believe that there is nothing good to say about Tomekia Reed. Fast forward a month after her contract expired on March 31st. We're now at the end of April, and she is a Charlotte 49er head coach. It's just that simple. I'm not surprised. I expected this. It was just about where she was going to go. I know that she interviewed with Tulane. I know that she said she was recruiting. I know that they said that the money was going to be about $250. All of that, I think, happened before April 7th. It was just too much. There was no optimism around that. So I'll leave it at that. But as we push forward, Shelomi Sanders is headed to Alabama A&M. And this is a very interesting relationship with her family and HBCUs. I want to know if you feel the same. Am I making a, a mountain out of a molehill? Or is this even interesting to you? I'm going to break it all down as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. As I'm recording this, the Timberwolves versus Suns have not happened. I'm rooting for the Timberwolves to win Game 4 because my Pelicans are also down 0-3, and if we are going to get swept, I do not want to be the only person to be swept. So with that being said, do you think that we are going to get swept? You can go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's just that simple. You go ahead and check them out. Do you think that the Pelicans will get swept? Let's see, LeBron and the Lakers, do you think they make it to a Game 6? It's the NBA playoffs right now. That's the thing to put your money down on. And there's still, as I record this, every single series is still open. So it's on you to tell me who you think is going to come out victorious. If you're new to FanDuel, you'll get $150 back in bonus bets, win or lose, when you put down your first bet. So go ahead and go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every moment more. Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. And I love Gametime. My favorite feature about them is the fact that you can view your seat before you choose your ticket. There's not many places you can get that. And not only are you able to view your seat, view your view of the field or the court or the concert, whatever you're choosing to go to, you also get the guarantee that you'll have the lowest price. And if you don't, you'll get 110% back on the difference. Excuse me. So you're making money back. That's how confident they are. They'll give you not only all your money back, but a little extra as well. So go ahead and download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege. It used to be Locked On, but you got to make sure you add the college from now on. Otherwise, they're not going to get you $20 off. And if that's only if you're new making your first purchase, go ahead and get the best seats at the concert, at the comedy show, at the athletic event. And the only way to do that is to download the Gametime app and use the code LOCKEDONCollege. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked On HBCU and wrap up the show, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day, making it all the way to segment 3, and I thank you 2 times for that. Shelomi Sanders is now an Alabama A&M Lady Bulldog, and this continues a very odd relationship between the Sanders family and HBCUs. I am now aware of the fact that seems like her and her pops ain't on the best terms. This ain't a gossip show. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but I do think that that plays a little bit of a part. She did not go to Alabama A&M to spite her father. So I want to be very clear when I say that this plays a part. But I think that I don't know how Dawn feels about HBCUs. I know how HBCU fans feel about Dawn. It's a lot of emotions that I'm not going to really regurgitate right now, but I understand where they come from, and I think they come from a valid place. You are entitled to your own opinion. I don't really want to rehash that, but I think that at least acknowledging it is important for this. They love Shador. They love Shiloh. The kids get love. The daughter, the other daughter, not so much. Not so much, but you know what? She's got enough drama going on with my guy, Jacquees. And if that comes out and makes a phenomenal album, then I care about it. If it doesn't, I don't really care. Don't really care. I got a good song from Dreezy about it, though. So as a music fan, thank you, oldest sister of the Sanders family. Dawn, don't really know about him. He's kind of on the fence, but whatever. We'll leave that alone. That relationship is interesting. That relationship stems from the dad. So now the baby daughter, Shelomi, going to Alabama A&M was a very interesting choice for me. And it, to me, shows the strength that she possesses mentally, because she was at Jackson State when her dad left. I don't know if they might have been on winter break, because I think she left in the beginning of January. So she may not have touched down on campus, but I'm sure she felt it. She understood the anger that came towards her father and probably kind of came towards her. I think all the kids likely got it a little bit. For her to return to an HBCU, despite it not being Jackson State, I think that's strength, because she might still get some comments about it. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of HBCU people are obsessed with Dawn Sanders. That's weird to me. Keep that energy away from me. But there's a lot of people who are obsessed with Dawn Sanders. I care about the man because I'm a football fan. And what's going on with him at Colorado is interesting to me. But as far as being obsessed, and a lot of the obsession comes from wanting him to fail, keep that away from me. But that obsession and wanting him to fail could direct towards her. I see certain players like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, even though he's going against us, whatever. I've seen these players, how do I want to phrase this? I've seen these players have lookalikes. They say, oh, wait for him to have a bad game. That's how I feel about Shelomi. I feel like Shelomi Sanders, as soon as she has a bad game, people are on her head because of who her daddy is. And that ain't happening at other schools. So for her to go to an HBCU showed me a lot of strength. It continues the interesting relationship because you have a kid there, even though it seems like they're not on the best terms. But like having a kid there, I don't know. It may go to where basically they like the kids and they don't like the father and the eldest daughter. Like that may be a true divide, but just something I was interested in. And if I didn't feel like it showed mental strength, I probably would have kept it to myself. But that actually makes me very interested to see what not only Dawn Thornton is building, but then also what young Sanders is able to do, because she hasn't really had any time at anywhere. Not at Colorado, not at Jackson State. She left 2 games into the season. She barely played. So, yeah, I'm very interested. I'm very, very interested to see what this comes from. But I salute Miss Sanders for the strength that she shows by going to Alabama A&M and not being afraid of any comments that could be received by from her via hatred for her dad. So shout out to you on that. I appreciate you. And shout out to you for making this your first listen of the day every day. Tomorrow's episode, we'll be looking at Tomekia Reed again, but specifically the fallout from the situation. We broke down her departure, but now what about the fallout from her leaving Jackson State, not only for the Lady Tigers, but then also for the rest of the SWAC. So I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day. I'm excited to bring you that episode tomorrow. In the meantime, in between time, until the next time we hear each other, family, take care, stay blessed. Peace.